should be easy. With me is George Sabra, the director of the Nest, and he's now for a long time director of Nest, and even longer connected to German culture, German science. You have worked for some time in Germany. Where have you worked?
Yes, well, I did my doctoral studies in Germany. Not my theological studies undergraduate, but only the doctoral part. And I lived in Tübingen, and I was at the university there for 5 years, from 1981 to 86.
And what was your motivation to go to Germany? I assume you have been able to go also to America or Canada, or what do I know?
I had studied theology in the USA and then did a year in Canada on medieval studies. And then I decided I want to do my PhD on Thomas Aquinas. And so I started looking for experts on Thomas Aquinas in the US and in Europe, and wrote many letters of application, and finally got accepted by a Catholic theologian in Tübingen who had written extensively about Thomas Aquinas, and I liked his writings, so I wrote to him, and he accepted me as a doctoral student in the Roman Catholic faculty of Tübingen. And I was the only Protestant in the Catholic faculty, and they had no problem graduating me with a doctoral degree in Catholic theology.
So from this time on, you have special relations to Germany, and still you are working with German partners like us, the German pastors, now in the pastoral program here at Nest. How's your experience with that kind of a German link?
Yeah, I had this. I still have this connection to the German theological, intellectual world. But also, I should say that through my church, the National Evangelical Church of Beirut, which had long relations, old relations with the German churches over the Schneller School here. The Schneller School was handed over by the German mission to our church, and so we had connections with them through the church and then through my own studies. And of course, Nest has always had, has often had, I would say, German professors working here. What was important for me is, after having seen American Protestantism, from which we derive here as Protestants, is the American mission, and European Protestantism, especially German and Swiss, it was very important to make the link of us as evangelicals or as Protestants with our European origins rather than simply with our American origins. And I found that much richer and much more varied than simply the American pietist missionary activity that came here. That was one side, and it was important, but it did not represent the whole of the Reformation or the more authentic part of the Reformation tradition. And that's why it's very important for me, and I think for Nest, to have this connection. And we continue it now with all the programs that we have with German students and German pastors, and our general connection to European Protestantism.
So we are thankful that we as German pastors, and I assume also our Danish colleague, can be here now for this pastoral sabbatical program. But it was not so easy. I had the feeling that the idea of can they come or not in August was different from September. Can you tell a little bit about this kind of a change?
Well, things have been deteriorating for over 2 years now in Lebanon. And this past summer was almost reached the height of the depth of deterioration, although we are still sinking deeper. But it became so unpredictable in the summer, and things were just collapsing around us. And the fact that there was no government and Lebanon could not form a government for over a year, made us really worry about whether we could execute a program like the sabbatical program. Until in September, things improved a bit and a government was formed, and things were looking a bit more bright. And so we thought that under these conditions, although very difficult, we could manage a 3 month program with the pastors, and I think so far it has gone well. Looks like a normal program.
Friends in Germany who are a little bit nearer here and who are interested in our fate here, they are seeing the nest, and they are seeing that there are only a small number of students, and they think, how can go nest on with that on a medium term base?
Yeah, that's one of our problems now. One of our challenges is the small number of students, small number of local students from the region who want to study theology and then have a career in the church. It's a problem with many causes. It's not just, of course, it is the political situation, it is the economic situation in Lebanon and the Middle East, but I would say it is also it's a question of calling, vocations, religious, spiritual vocations. Doesn't seem to be something that is now desirable for young people. Of course, it's always a minority that goes into theology and the church here. But all these conditions around us, economic, political, and maybe the situation of the churches themselves, that are not attracting young people to this kind of service. So we are happy when we have very few that are still coming to us, and we have no illusions that huge numbers will come and study theology. But it is sometimes difficult to convince our supporters and partners in the West that even though we are a small number, we cannot give up this enterprise, this project here. This is the only seminary outside of Egypt for the traditional evangelical churches. If it goes, there is nothing else. It has to continue, and I hope it can be supported for better days.
There are 4 churches here directly in the nest, and they are supposed to send students here. Will they send next year? Do you know that in a greater number even?
I have no indication and no communication from the churches that they are planning to send more students. There may be 1 or 2, they're not sure, but not much more so far. But usually in our case, students come in the last minute. So although they should be applying now, we are used to the fact that even in the summer, a few months before we start, we get applications for new students. But there are no indications that there's a big number coming.
What's the reason therefore? Is there no need for pastoral education?
In some cases, the churches don't have candidates to send. They don't have places to place them in later, because the way it works here is the church sends candidates for the ministry, and it is responsible for them, and after they finish, they place them in positions. So it's a commitment of the church for the life of the person, and they don't have needs now. Some of them don't have needs in the churches to send people, and others can't find people.
So pastoral education is low, and even the question if the ecumenical discourse you have here at Nest, or the interfaith and interreligious discourse can go on. So what is the future of Nest?
And the ecumenical relations and our contribution to Christian ecumenism and interfaith relations, this can go on. It's not so much dependent on students, but on faculty and activities and specialists whom we cooperate with or we supply to do these activities. But the future really depends on the future of the country and the future of the Protestant churches. And both are not something that we can discern right now. Lots of variable factors go into both. We are in a time of upheaval and turmoil and change, and it's difficult to see what the outcome will be. So we live from day to day, basically, awaiting more clarity.
Do you see any kind of light at the horizon where you would say, okay, it might take a time, but we are improving? Or would you say at the moment it is gray in the morning and gray in the evening?
Yeah, well, I can't see a light, but I have to trust in a light, because life doesn't simply, I mean, it just changes all the time and surprises you. We hope for a light, but whether I can see it right now, I would say no. But that won't make us give up.
So I can see from the side of us European pastoral students here that we find that indeed the nest is a light itself, and that we are able to have here such a great time is already an encouragement for us. And so even so you might not see a light, we have the feeling that you and your stuff is a light for us and an encouragement.
And actually your presence here is a source of encouragement, that there are people who are still willing to come and be with us, and that make us feel that we have something to offer. So it's a mutual encouragement and signs of hope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.